Orcust has finally got some amazing support. Trust me when I say this deck has been so much fun to play, but Orcust wasn't the only deck to get support out of the new Battles of Legend. Punk also received some amazing support, and if you're a big Punk fan, make sure you're subscribed to the channel because that video's next. Orcust has so many different engines that you can splash into it, and as we go through the deck list, I'm sure I'll cover a bunch of them. Today, we're going to be hopping into the deck list that I have been currently messing with, but of course, make sure you stick around to the end of the video because we're also going to be going over some of the basic combos that this new deck can do, and I don't know about you, but I've been waiting to play Orcust for a long time. So thanks to the new set, Orcust finally has a lot of amazing tools that it can now use to compete in the meta. The deck got two really amazing Link monsters that really fill in a lot of gaps that this deck needed. As mentioned, this deck has a lot of engines it can play alongside it. But hopping into our Orcust lineup, of course, first we're playing 3 copies of Girsu. Nothing's really changed here. This is still the best starter for the deck. In case you don't know what it does, on normal or special, you can send an Orcust or World Legacy monster from your deck to the grave. But it does have the ability to give yourself a token as well as your opponent, which comes up a lot now with the new Link 1. Of course, we're still playing 3 copies of Harp Horror. I think this new version looks really cool with the stamp included on it. I don't know if I'm going to pick up all of the engine like that, but I definitely think it looks cool. Now that we have our new Link 1 that you can make with a single Orcust or World Legacy monster, Harp Horror by itself is complete full combo, so the deck has gotten so much more consistent. But now also, thanks to that, our Symbol Skeleton is also a 1-card combo, and I've seen a lot of players go up to 3 copies of this card because, again, it is technically a 1-card combo, but to me, of all the 1-card combos, it's definitely the weakest. But after that, it's just a bunch of 1-ofs. We are opting to run the 1 copy of the Brass Bombard. Again, a card that you really don't need, and by itself it doesn't accomplish too much, but having the effect to banish it from the grave to then special an Orcust from your hand definitely comes in clutch, especially when playing into boards or through hand traps. And again, by itself it is technically the Link 1, and you can do some combos with it. After that, we're just playing 1 copy of Nightmare. Again, 1 is all you need. You could play more. You can't normal summon it still, so it's a little awkward to get into your combos. And in this build, now that we have the Link 1, we don't have to play cards like Dark Grepher to get into our combos, so we don't have as many discard outlets in the main deck to utilize it. Of course, the Link 1 does get it out of our hand, but by itself it doesn't accomplish much, just like the World Legacy World Wand. But there's another effect this card has that we use more now than ever. Whenever it's sent to the grave, you can also special summon a World Legacy monster from your hand. Honestly, we don't play much of them, but you'll see in the combo portion of the video how that effect does come up. Of course, the World Legacy card we're talking about is World Legacy World Crown, which is a very simple extender that we never played, but now that we have the Link 1, we can search this card out. While it's in your hand, you can special it to the field to a zone a Link monster points to. At a bare minimum, this means even if you don't have anything going for you, the Link 1 can at least get you 2 bodies on the field to work with, but also has a cool on-field effect where if your opponent uses a monster effect of a monster special from the extra deck, you can tribute it to the grave to negate and destroy that monster. Very cool utility, great extender, and potential interruption as well, and we'll show off in the combos different ways you can abuse this card. We have a couple of 1-ofs for the archetype that are spells and traps. One is the Babble. This is the field spell. Essentially, while it's on the field, all your Orcust effects become quick effects. After that, we're playing the 1 Orchestrated Return. This is like a D-draw. It's a hard once per turn, so that's why you only play the 1 copy, but sometimes you just need the search target, or if you already opened the other cards, it's just free to search. But the last Orcust card we're playing is the Crescendo. This is the Omni Negate for the deck. I'm only playing the 1 because, spoilers, I'm not playing Foolish Burial Goods, which is another package that we'll talk about later that can be added consistency for the deck. The last card we're playing as a 1-of for the engine is the World Legacy Succession. Not an Orcust card, it's a World Legacy spell, but it's definitely a cool card. It is essentially a monster reborn. You can bring back a monster from the grave to a zone a Link monster points to. By itself, it's a solid card. It's just a decent extender. If I played 3 Symbol Skeleton, it'd probably come up a lot more if it was my main 1-card starter, but again, it's just a good card by itself, so might as well include it. And then after that, we do have a secondary package we are opting to run alongside our Orcust cards. As mentioned, one thing you could do is play Foolish Burial Goods if you're leaning more into a pure build. That way you can send the trap to search your Orcust cards. It's cool too because you can use it as a board breaker if you pair it with something like Black Goat Laughs, so I really like that interaction. The only downside is if you do that, it cuts you off of being able to make IP Mask Arena in your end board, so something to keep in mind, but it's definitely a good option. You can even play Mitsurugi alongside alongside Orcust, which is really crazy because, again, they're all dark, so you don't care about the restriction. That's a completely different deck, but if that's something you're into, let me know and comment down below. I'll definitely make that profile if there's enough people who want it. And of course, a standard thing that a lot of decks do right now is they try to play the Fiendsmith cards in there, which, again, it sounds counterintuitive because you do get locked into darks. Of course, by themselves, they can make Caesar to insulate your combo against Nibiru. Not only that, they let you play under something like Lancia, which is in everybody's side deck, and we'll talk about that more a little bit later. But to me, personally, I think the better approach is actually to play a rank 8 engine. One of the packages is the Millennium cards, a very solid package that not only gets you free bodies to link climb with, but can set up rank 8s. You can make cards like the Photon Lord to insulate your board against Nibiru or even Ash Blossom. And of course, you have access to Zombie Vampire as well, which could get the whole deck online. But to me, I'm not running the Millennium cards. One that I still personally like is the Horus engine. Playing 3 Imseti, 2 of the Sark, and only 1 Happy. One thing to keep in mind is the Happy is a win, so again, you got to keep that in mind with your restrictions. But by themselves, they're really great standalone cards. And just like all the other engines, they have the added benefit of letting you play the game even under Lancia. But one really annoying interaction is Ash Blossom on your Heart Pourer. Again, you have ways to extend from it, but Imseti discard a card definitely baits Ash Blossom early if they have it. But if they do decide to save the Ash Blossom, your Horus cards are going to go into the Photon Lord anyway and check that card so you can combo. Definitely a versatile engine. It also helps with the Charmies as well. Just another thing that lets you get big bodies out that don't require special summons very much. The added benefit of discarding potential Orcust cards as well is definitely something that can make your ceiling very high when playing into a board or through hand traps as well. After that's just some supporting cards, of course, for playing Foolish Burial. No reason to explain it, a 1-card combo by itself. For consistency, we're also playing a Prosperity. The only time this conflicts in your deck is, again, specifically Imseti for the draw. You have a lot of ways to discard cards in your deck, so even if this card is dead, trust me, even the Link 1 at a bare minimum could get rid of it if you need to. We're also deciding to play the Talents. Again, you have a lot of reasons for your opponent to throw hand traps at you, so it's very easy to get full value out of this card, even as a board breaker. And the last card, just like the Talents, it's the Call by the Grave, stopping all those pesky Charmies or Ash Blossoms to let you combo. It's just hand traps after that. The first hand trap we're playing is 3 Ash. Again, this is a very low impact hand trap, but it feels really good backed up behind your entire first combo. Cards like Nibiru and of course Droll and Lockbird also feel really crazy in your hand when you go first. After that, we are playing some Charmies. We play 3 Fuwa, and I'm only opting to run 2 copies of Parelia. Reason being is, well, 1 for space, but 2, I also feel like by playing too much of the Charmies, while you can discard cards like I mentioned for your combos, you don't want to have too many cards that are dead in your hand when you're going off. So for that reason, I feel like 5 is probably the perfect number, but again, if you wanted to play 6, you definitely could. One thing to note about this deck though is it plays through Droll and Lockbird fairly well. So not only do you have the Ash Blossom to stop these Charmies, but also you can Droll yourself while you're comboing because you really only need 1 search off your Link 1. I definitely think this deck has a lot of advantages when playing against some of the hand traps in this game. And of course, the one downside is that Lancia is in everybody's side deck, so you want to prepare for that post side. But now hopping into the extra deck, again, we're repping the SP Little Knight sleeves. These are some of my favorites. Again, these are from Imperium Duelist. They have so many amazing products, whether it's dice, sleeves, deck boxes, you name it. The link is down below, so make sure you guys go check them out. Plus, if you find anything you want, make sure you use my code COFFEE10 at checkout. Not only will it save you 10% off your entire order, but a portion of that purchase comes back to the channel and it helps me make content for you. So now for one of the custom cards that Orcust received. We have a new Galatea. It's a Link 1. It takes an Orcust or a World Legacy monster to make it. Keep in mind, you can special summon this a bunch of times during your turn, but you can only link summon into it once per turn. It also has the restriction that it can't be used as an Exceed material, so unfortunately you can't throw a ding on top of it. But this card has 2 really amazing effects for the deck. First being you can send any card from your hand to the grave to then add the field spell from deck to hand, or you could even add a World Legacy monster. This is really amazing because again, it gets you an extender body, especially if you did get hit with Lancia. But the field spell really is the bread and butter for this deck, and it's nice because you have 2 attempts at getting this card because even if it gets negated, you have the original Galatea to help get it as well. And of course, if it resolves, then you get the counter trap instead. But it also has a great graveyard effect where you can banish any other Orcust from your grave to special summon it back to the field. This is just great link fodder for the deck. You can't throw a ding on top of it, but with the field spell on your opponent's turn, you actually have ways to discard cards to set up more combos on your opponent's turn. Again, stick around to the end for the combos. You'll be able to see it in action, but also we're playing 2 of the Link to the original Galatea. You could get away with 1, but I like having 2 because I do banish one of these fairly often in our combos. After that, we have the 1 Long Girsu. This comes up from time to time. Mainly it's there for link climbing, which again, you'll see in the combos, but definitely a solid card and has good removal. But the main card that really puts this deck over the top now is the the new Link 4. Obviously, the Link 1 is really what gets everything going, but having this new boss monster definitely adds a new layer to this deck. This card essentially is Triple Tactics Talents on legs. Once per turn, you can add a banished Orcust or World Legacy card back to your hand. After that, you then shuffle one of the cards in your hand back into the deck, and then you can steal one of your opponent's face-up monsters. But that's not all, it does have another effect as well while it's in the graveyard. The turn it's sent to the grave while it was in the extra monster zone, you can banish it from the grave to send a card from the field to the grave. It's pretty crazy. After that, we just have a couple of links for support. We have the IP, and alongside it is the SP. Standard stuff, and they're both dark, so they work in the deck perfectly. But one card that is not a dark, and it's one of two cards in our extra deck that aren't. Lib the World Key Blade Master, a card that hasn't seen play in a while. It only takes 2 monsters to make, but you do have to have a World Legacy in the grave to summon it. During the main phase, it can set a World Legacy spell or trap from your deck. This is what gets you into the Monster Reborn that we were talking about. And while this card doesn't come up all the time, it specifically comes up more with the symbol skeleton lines. You do have ways to get into this before activating an Orcust effect that locks you into darks, and we'll showcase that combo as well, so make sure you stick around to the end. Again, it doesn't always come up, but by including it in the extra deck now, you have some cool combos you can do. And also has a cool effect where if this Link Summon card is sent to the grave, you can shuffle a card back into the deck as well. So pretty cool removal that doesn't come up that often. After that, we do have another tech slot in the deck. There's actually a lot of room in this extra deck, which is why you can play stuff like the Fiendsmith as well. But the card I'm playing is actually Access Code Talker. I've even experimented with Nightmare Unicorn. I know that sounds a little weird, but playing into boards, it's nice to have cards to discard cards because sometimes you want to get more names in rotation to play into boards. Also, there's some matchups where banishing cards with SP doesn't feel the best, like in Malice, for example. But Access Code Talker can hit really big with some of the Link monsters that we have. The only downside is outside of our Lib, which is the light, every Link monster is a dark, so most of the time this is only popping one card. But as mentioned, it gets really big, so it helps set up OTKs, and that's the main role of it, while being able to spot remove at least one card. That's it for the Links, nothing too crazy. Arc Seeds, of course, we're playing 2 copies of Ding, a card that you could easily play 1, but again, you have all this room in the extra deck. But for me, I like having 2 because sometimes you have one in the graveyard that you can't get back access to, especially in the grind. So by having another one that you can just pull out of the extra deck at any time, not only is great removal, but of course adds to the grind game. After that's a couple of more rank 8s for the Horus package. We have the Photon Lord, again a monster effect negate, insulating you against Ash Blossom on your Harpor, or of course Nibiru is very scary, so it's just nice to have this as well. One thing to keep in mind too is even if you don't get Nibiru'd on your turn, it's actually very easy to get Nibiru'd on your opponent's turn, so if this is part of your end board, it just makes it to where that's not going to happen. And after that, as mentioned, we have the Zombie Vampire, again just for when you only open Horus cards, at least you can make a rank 8 to potentially mill into your Horus combo. I love the little rank 8 package we get to play in the deck, but the last Exceed we play, it's the Typhon. It's a dark, so there's no contradictions with the deck. Great removal, no real reason to explain it, but other than that, there's really not much more I would try to fit into the extra. Heck, even a card like Zeus sounds really good, but it is a light, so it coming up is very niche. But that's it for the main deck. Let's hop into some combos. All right, so hopping into the first one, it's just going to be the 1-card Girsu combo. After this, I'm going to go ahead and showcase the 1-card Simple Skeleton combo and why we play the Lib. But again, for combo's sake, we're just going to assume all of the effects resolve. That way you can see what this deck can do if it goes uninterrupted. First things first, of course, you're going to normal summon the Girsu and use its effect. Here, we'll send that Harpor to the grave. And then after that resolves, we'll go ahead and use our Girsu's effect. We'll give ourselves a token, and of course, we'll give our opponent one as well. After that, we'll go ahead and fire off the graveyard effect. It'll lock us out of darks, but then we can summon one from deck. If this did get hit with Ash Blossom, that's okay. We do still have some lines that we can do with our token. But again, assuming all of this resolves, next we'll go ahead and take that token, link it off into the Link 1 Galatea. We'll go ahead and use its effect. We'll discard a card we don't need. In this case, we're going to go ahead and grab the Babel. No reason to get the extender. Right away, we'll fire it off, making all our Orcust effects now quick effects. And then after that, we'll take these 2 bodies and we'll go ahead and link summon. Here's when we go into the other Galatea. And then we'll go ahead and fire off our Nightmare in the grave to go ahead and send one from deck to grave. Here's where we'll dump our Skeleton. And then we'll go ahead and use Galatea's effect. We'll go ahead and shuffle back our Nightmare. And now we get to set our Omni Negate face down. Really nice. After we're done with that, we'll go ahead and link these bodies off. Here we'll go into the Long Girsu, really just for link climbing. And then we're going to actually activate our Galatea Link 1's effect in the grave. We'll banish the Girsu to bring it back to the field. So we'll go ahead and throw those into the grave. We'll go into our Link 4, which is really amazing because our field spell makes its effect now quick effects. After that, now we'll fire off that skeleton in the grave to bring back our Galatea. But here now we can throw a ding on top of it, using its effect to put the Harp Horror back under it for follow-up on the next turn. Now we're going to go ahead and fire off this effect. We're going to recycle that skeleton back to our hand. We'll put any of these cards from our hand back into the deck, and then we actually get to steal that token we gave to them. And then it's pretty straightforward. We can go ahead and get rid of the token and of course our ding. And now we can summon our IP Masquerena, and this is basically the full 1-card combo. And while it doesn't look like much, there's actually a lot that's going on with this field thanks to the field spell. Obviously, we have the Omni Negate face down that we can use any time because we have an Orcust Link monster. Obviously, we can link these off with IP Masquerena's effect. Go into something like SP, and it's really nice because now this will be in the grave and we can use its graveyard effect thanks to the field spell to banish it to send a card as well. So again, just this alone is a lot of interaction. But we can also use the Snatch Steal effect as well, so don't forget that. But one thing that's really cool is our Link 1 also can use its effect as a quick effect. We can go ahead and banish one of the names. It'll come back to the field, and now we can use its effect. Again, we can discard a card. We're going to discard the symbol skeleton we added. Very important for this. Now we'll go ahead and pick up the World Crown, which again, just an extender, but we can actually summon it to the field to get its monster negate on the field. Now we have the symbol skeleton in the grave, as well as the Harp Horror, which is really important because we can fire it off at any time. We can bring out a Girsu from the deck, and on summon, its effect will activate. And here we'll send the Wonder Wand to the grave. And again, it's not an Orcust card, so we can't banish it to bring back a guy, but its effect to summon one from hand can be activated. It was sent to the grave. And this is how we can summon that World Crown to the field from our hand. After all that, again, now we have another monster negate, and if you haven't used your IP, now you have more fodder to do so. Don't forget, like I said, you can add one of these back to your hand, and whether you want to keep it or not, you can shuffle any card back to steal one of our opponent's monsters. There's the monster effect negate as mentioned, and like I said, if you tagged into something like SP Little Knight, not only do you get the banish, but this is a graveyard effect we can use to then send a card they control to the grave as well. And of course, don't forget, we added this back to our hand so we could discard it on this turn, so we can banish it on our opponent's turn to bring back the ding, and of course send a card they control to the grave, all while being backed up with an Omnigate as well. This is such a crazy board, even though it doesn't look that good. A lot of variety and different interruptions, especially with spot removal, which is really great this format, but let me show you how Symbol Skeleton is also a 1-card combo. And here we go, the Skeleton combo again. It's a very average combo, but it is technically a 1-card combo. But if this is all you have, of course, we're going to start out by normal summoning it, and we can link it off. Just like last time, we'll go into the Link 1, use its effect, we'll discard a card. Here we'll pick up the Crown because we need to Link Climb, and now we can use its effect to summon itself from the hand to a zone it's pointed to. And now we have 2 bodies, including an Orcust, so we can go into our Galatea. And now this is really important. We do not want to use the skeleton effect because it will dark click us. Instead, we're going to use the Link 1. We'll bring it back by banishing the symbol skeleton. Don't worry, we're about to get it back. Now we can go ahead and Exceed Summon. We'll go into Ding to go ahead and attach it as a material. And now we have 2 bodies. We can link them off. And here is where we can go into our lib because we have a World Legacy in the grave. Of course, we'll activate its effect. We'll set the succession face down. And then from there, we can use our skeleton to go ahead and bring our Galatea back to the field. We will activate its effect this time. We can go ahead and put this back and set our field spell face down. Of course, right away, we'll fire it off. And we'll use our 2 bodies, including an Orcust, to go into our Link 4. This could have been the Omni Negate if you wanted to, but we definitely want our Orcust to be quick effects. That's how we're going to make our Link 4 live. Before we end a turn, of course, we'll activate the Monster Reborn. This will bring back our World Crown. And don't forget, while it's on the field, it is a monster negate for an extra deck monster. So again, to sum it up, on our opponent's turn, we can negate a monster effect. And as a quick effect, we can always bring back our Link 1, banish any of the names. And then, of course, if you wanted to, you could always discard a card if you had a dead card. But the main thing is now we can Snatch Steal one of our opponent's monsters by shuffling this back. But we will have to put a card from our hand back into the deck in the process. So searching a card might not be the best option. But there you go, 1-card combo. It's only 2 interruptions, but you're typically only doing this when you have a lot of non-engine anyway. Now you can see why the skeleton is not at 3 in my deck, even though it is, again, a 1-card combo. I just feel like this is okay, but we could be playing other cards to potentially get us into more stuff. But that's going to wrap things up for today's video. Thanks again for tuning in. I really appreciate the support, but here's hoping to see you guys on the next one. Peace.